Hey, what's up guys, and welcome back to another video on the channel. Today we have got some I would say one news really about Florian Wirtz that we'll get onto in just a second, and some other stuff happening. It's happening, but it's not really big news. It's not really mind-blowing news. And as always, the countdown to the Euros um, is still ongoing. We are 5 days away, really, till Euro 2024. Teams are already heading to Germany. If I'm not wrong, Croatia and Spain are already in Germany. They've practically already played their final game before the Euro starts. Their last friendly game, and there are some teams left who are still playing some games. I think France are still playing. The Netherlands might be playing another game in tomorrow or the day after, maybe. But there are gonna be some teams still playing as well. But obviously, Euro 2024, as we've been saying, is gonna be such a hype. It's gonna be a great watch. I don't think I'll be able to cover the first few games because I will be away, but you know I'll be there to watch, of course. But let's start off with Florian Wirtz. Now this is the latest. Breaking: Real Madrid have begun work on the signing of Florian Wirtz. Months ago, everything is going in the right direction to sign him in 2025 from Jose Felix Diaz. You know, what would you call him? Is he reliable? You can't really call him Mr. Reliable. I think you have to give that title to Fabrizio Romano. Um, what would you call him? I know he loves his horses, but is that related to football? But, anyways, um, jokes aside, Florian Wirtz to Real Madrid. What do we think? What do we think of this potential deal? Obviously, as a Real Madrid fan who likes to see, the great Real Madrid team being built, the greatest Real Madrid team being built, of course, all for it. Sign him, of course. But I'm thinking in terms of more uh, maturely, more, logically, do Real Madrid need Florian Wirtz? Now, you have to remember, Cruz has retired. Modric is probably going to retire next year. I don't think Dani Ceballos is good enough, but obviously we saw the news yesterday that he's going to stay, although he doesn't want to stay. So that is three players there that I don't think you can consider into the bright long-term future. And what does this Real Madrid team right now have? Players who are going to be here for the next 5 to 10 years. So take away these three midfielders, right? You've got Bellingham, who can still play as a 10 but can play deeper. You've got Camavinga, you've got Tchouaméni, and you've got Valverde. Now, if Nico Paz does start being a regular in terms of following the main squad, maybe getting a couple of substitute appearances, starting to gel with the team, and eventually becomes a mainstay, maybe not a starter but a rotational option, there's 5 midfielders, right? You add Florian Wirtz into that, you got 6 midfielders for potentially 3 or 4 spots depending on how the attack shapes up. If it's a front 3 or front 2 with Mbappe, Vinicius, or Mbappe, Vinicius and Rodrigo. And let's not forget, you've still got Arda Güler, who's slightly more attacking minded, but he can still contribute, and Brahim Diaz. So you have essentially got so many players. You've got so many players, and Joselu as well, in the attacking areas, which will push Bellingham back into a deeper role, which will just not help because Florian Wirtz is a 10. He's an attacking player. He's an attacking midfielder. So he's going to be fighting with 4 players basically for that spot. If Real Madrid play 4-man midfield, he's going to be fighting with Arda Güler and Brahim Diaz. If Real Madrid play a three-man midfield, he's gonna be fighting with Bellingham, Tchouaméni, or Valverde, and simply that's not going to work. So, what I'm thinking is, could this be potentially? I'm not saying it's gonna happen, but could this be a sign of bad things to come for Rodrigo? Could this be, what, Rodrigo, you're gonna get an offer, a big offer is gonna come in, we're gonna sell you, and we are stacked. We've got Vinicius Junior, we've got Brahim Diaz, we've got Mbappe, we've got Arda Güler who can play in the attacking areas, especially to the wide areas. We've got Joselu, but we've got Florian Wirtz, we've got Jude Bellingham. That is probably one of the craziest front lines you can have. So, and considering that we've still got Brahim Diaz and Joselu, who's probably going to stay on the books, these are two players that you would probably say, they can probably leave and it wouldn't affect us that badly. I know Joselu and Brahim Diaz have contributed a lot to the season they've just gone, but I think out of all the attacking options you've got, who are you going to sacrifice for a Florian Wirtz? Unless it's Rodrigo, I can't see it being Vinicius Junior. It's not going to be Mbappe, he just joined. I don't think it's going to be Arda Güler. It's not going to be any other midfielders. So realistically, unless you're trying to get everyone somehow to stay on board, you're going to create a team that is stacked in the attacking areas, but they might not be happy. The players are not going to be happy about the playtime, the role that they have in the team. And Ancelotti is the best man to do all this man management, and he's probably gonna leave next year when Florian Wirtz comes in, because obviously we've heard Florian Wirtz could be coming in with Xabi Alonso, both from Bayer Leverkusen. So what's gonna happen? Can the next manager, if he does come in and if Ancelotti does leave or retire, can the next gaffer, as the British like to call it, be able to keep control of the locker room, of the dressing room, of the players? That will be very interesting. Breaking industry sources, quote, say that Florian Wirtz and Real Madrid have a commitment for 2025 again, Jose Felix Diaz. I mean, let's see. I've already given my opinion, but let me know what thoughts are down below. Next up is a pretty outrageous comment and quote that came out, and I have no idea where this has come from. It has no relation to him. I think someone's salty. I really do. Check this out. Max Eberl, Bayern Munich's director of sports, on Mbappe to Real Madrid and the huge signing fees involved. You can always become more of a money-grubbing person, but everyone who is a money-grubbing person will gradually become the nail in football's coffin. If all the money goes out of the market, at some point, then there will be nothing left for us to do business with. We're talking about hundreds of millions. That's too much, and at some point, you get the feeling that it will burst. So at some point, it will be oversaturated and Saudi Arabia will come along. That doesn't feel very good. I have to say that, to be fair, that's the market right now. The money is leaving the market. No club benefits from it. Players, families, agents, everyone benefits, but not the clubs. In the past, at least clubs profited. The money stayed in the cycle, and that will become less and less now. This is from Mia San Mia, a Bayern Munich account. Now, if you don't know what this is trying to say, it's fine, because he said a lot of things there. Basically, he was asked, what do you think about Kylian Mbappe going to Real Madrid on a free, and the money basically going to Mbappe? The signing fees, the signing bonuses, right? The hundreds of millions. That's not going to PSG, that's going to Mbappe. Now, I have no idea why he's talking about money-grabbing person. I don't think there's a need for that. It's kind of targeted to Mbappe and his camp. I feel that way, but it might not be. Maybe. But what he's trying to say is, in the past, free transfers were not common. And, free transfers have been common across the last 10-15 years. Yes. But you are not talking about players who are worth a few hundred million euros or pounds or whatever. You're not talking about players worth that. Maybe a player for worth £500,000, euros, dollars, whatever, for free is cool. But basically, you're trying to say here, the evolution of players living on a free, and they are some of the best players in the world who are worth hundreds of millions, and they're living on a free. And eventually, the money that is in the club cycle, because as we know, if you are Club 1 and you sign a player from Club 2 will sell the player, they'll take the money, they'll go to Club 3, and Club 3 will sell the player, they'll take that money, and they'll go to Club 4. Club 4 will do the same, and they'll go back to Club 1. And obviously, it's not just between these 4 clubs, it's between every club. But in the past, it used to be clubs essentially transferring money for players. Now, the money is no longer between clubs, but it's going to players, it's going to agents, it's going to family members, as he has alluded. And I agree to a certain extent in terms of, look, if every club in Europe are working with, let's say, 5 billion, right? And you slowly start taking hundreds and hundreds of millions out of this cycle, and you give it to agents, family members, whatever, the clubs will basically not have money to do any deals. Because we've seen with the decline, a lot of teams don't have enough money to sign players. And what that means is, if you can't sell your player to another team, you can't make money to sign another player. And that is the problem. Now, I do agree with him in terms of that, but there isn't a need to, say money grabbing. There really isn't. And I feel like that's pretty salty. That's really salty of him. But we move to this. Solari is becoming increasingly important within Real Madrid. He's involved in the planning for the upcoming season and had a say regarding the renewals. At Real Madrid, they highly value him, and remember how he trusted Vinicius Jr. and Fede Valverde when he was the manager from Relevo. Look, I feel like Santiago Solari's time at Real Madrid as manager, it was disastrous. I remember those years, man, 2018, 2019 days. I mean, flipping Lopetegui, who is now at West Ham, and Santiago Solari. I mean, those days were just sickening. But obviously, we know Solari has now picked up a role in the upper hand. He's no longer just the manager. He's involved in the signings, the recruitment, the renewals, more of the transfers, so to say. And he's done a great job in terms of the past few years that he's had this role. Obviously, contract renewals is a big part of his job. So he's going to be trusted. He's going to, be seen more involved and important. And obviously, the trust that he put on Vinicius Jr. and Fede Valverde, is remembered because of how they have, managed to become some of the best players in the world. But that is pretty interesting. Now, 2 more news if I'm not wrong. This is a bit of a funny one here. I saw this and I was laughing really hard. This is from AS. Carlos Alenia, who is an ex-Barcelona player, now at Getafe. I'm a culé for life. Culé is basically Madridista, but for Barcelona, if you don't know that. But I would never say no to Real Madrid. I mean, why is Carlos Alenia trying to say and put himself forward like he is a target for Real Madrid? Why is he putting himself into this conversation? That I think is the funniest part of this, and I know he's gonna get a lot of backlash. Okay, and look, I don't think he's good. I don't want him at all. We shouldn't go anywhere near him, and we're not gonna go anywhere near him because he's now isn't he in his mid-20s anyways. He left Barcelona a few years ago. He came through with a few players. I mean, Ricky Puig is another one. I mean, he's gone off to the MLS. Selenia. This was before the likes of Pedri and Gavi and Fermin Lopez. This is like the earlier version. But they didn't succeed, and that's the reason why he's not at Barcelona anymore. But just a bit of a funny one there. Lastly, nothing gonna do with Real Madrid. Just wanted to add this in. Manchester United and their manager situation. Roberto De Zerbi has come under consideration by Manchester United as a potential replacement for Erik ten Hag from Matt Lawton. And also, Thomas Tuchel is not planning on taking Manchester United's job. He wants a break from coaching from Fabrizio Romano. Interesting. But obviously everyone is still looking forward and seeing and looking out as to what's gonna happen at Man United. But who knows. But let me know what your thoughts are down below. Hope you guys have enjoyed today's video. Hit the button, subscribe to the channel if it's on already, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.